I witnessed a lot of just fascinating things working in the boxing business. I can't share them, on camera right now. I'm actually working on a book. It's a fiction book, but it's based on my funny experiences in the boxing business, and I'll keep you posted on that as time moves forward. People often ask me what it was like to work for Don King, and the honest answer is that Don was very nice to me. Don treated me well personally, and he really was one of the funniest guys that I've ever been around. So there you have it. I love boxing. I just wish it was a little bit bigger than it is. Big fan of The Contender. I think it's a great show. I would encourage everybody to watch it. I think ESPN has it now. So go to ESPN.com or check it out and learn some information about The Contender. I'm sure the third season will be coming up sometime soon. It's a great show. Well, back to my story. Don King Productions gave me an opportunity, and so the first thing I did for that company the first year was that I was in public relations and promotions. So I was one of the guys that you'd see in the ring before the fight and then after the fight. In fact, there's me right there. This is right before a Felix Trinidad fight. There's Tito, and I'm giving little dap to Tito. Little dap. There it is. Yeah. And me and Tito, we had some fights together. We worked some fights together, and to this day, I think if you were to ask Tito about me, he'd well, I don't know that he'd remember me, but we did have some good moments together. When you're in the boxing business, you have to be a little bit tough. And there's just no other way around it. You got to have thick skin, and you got to be able to, physically be on your toes, ready to go, because it's a crazy industry, and anything can happen. And quite frankly, it did. And in fact, in my first fight working was Mike Tyson versus Peter McNeely. On the undercard was a fight, Miguel Angel Gonzalez and Lamar Murphy.
Not a popular decision, but it's the right
and
decision.
Most people ringside thought Murphy won the fight. They went the distance, and they gave the fight to Gonzalez, and so this big fight breaks out in the middle of the ring. And I'm in a corner. I'm kind of backed up in the turnbuckle, and this fight breaks out right in front of me, and people are throwing punches and stuff, and so I have to make a decision. Am I going to jump in the melee, or am I going to stay out? This is my first fight. If I'm on national TV fighting, I'm probably going to get fired. But man, it was just right there, and I had to protect myself. So I'm not afraid or ashamed to admit that I had to kick a little ass. I had to kick a little ass in my first fight. I don't remember jumping out of the ring or moving out of the way. I remember that a little bit differently, but clearly, I guess the video shows otherwise. That's not the memory I have, though. I left Don King Productions right after Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off. I still have memories of Mike, spitting the earpiece out, the hunk of ear, it spits it out. I still remember that. Of course, I'm looking right at it over here, and so I remember it. But so I left, and that was the end of my time there. And people will always ask me now, do you still stay in touch with Don King? And my answer, is no, I don't. But I'm sure if I called Don, he'd answer. But here's a funny fact, is my buddy John Bruning, who I showed you earlier, he actually sent me a picture recently of him and Don at the White House together. John's this big attorney general guy who's gotten a little big for his britches, but he got to go to the White House and be with Don King, and so he sends me this picture, and he claims that Don remembered who I was when he asked him, and I'm sure he did, because Don was that way.